It's my pleasure to be here, and I will be today's moderator. My name is Grete Buivydaite, and I'm Business Development Specialist for IMA region at Institute of Management Accountants. The agenda for today is that we will start with 25-minute presentation, and afterwards we'll move on to the discussion of 45 minutes. Drop your questions down below. We all know that the modern finance of today is nothing like bookkeeping portrayed in Victorian novel. Budget cycles have gotten shorter, margins of error tighter, and the need to automate the budgeting, planning, and analysis processes is exponentially greater. The role of the finance professionals has changed dramatically in the past 20 years, but what does the future hold for the profession? Our presenter of today is Alain Mulder, and he will try to answer the question. Alain is IMA Senior Director, Europe Operations, and is based in IMA's Amsterdam office. He is responsible for the European operations of IMA and the growth of Certified Management Accounting Program in Europe. Institute of Management Accountants is the worldwide association of accountants and finance professionals in business and is one of the largest and most respected associations focused exclusively on advancing the management accounting profession. Alain Mulder is a frequent international public speaker, and today he will be sharing his knowledge on the future of finance. Alain, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Grete. Welcome, everyone. Also, thank you, ABSL, for hosting this webinar. It's really great to be here and to be able to present about the future of finance. Let me share my deck. We'll do that first before we start with the presentation. So now you are able to see the full screen. So today I will talk indeed about the future of finance and accounting, and especially in this current disruption of COVID-19. It's very interesting because how is the current disruption accelerating the digital transformation, because it has a huge impact, as we all know, because many people were only used to work from the office, but also you see it on the number of attendees of this webinar. Many people are working from home and actually working digital already today. So what kind of impact will that have on also the future of finance and how we work? These are my contact details, because what I always experience by myself is that when I go to a conference or a webinar, that the day after a question pops up, I forgot to ask during the conference. So if you have any questions about my presentation or maybe about IMA or the CMA, always feel free to drop me an email at email@imanet.org, and then I will try to answer it, of course. I only have 25 minutes or so I will also share the presentation later on, because it's quite detailed, so I will not cover everything. So then you are able to look it up later for yourself. Before I go to the topic of the conference, a little bit an introduction about IMA. So IMA, we are a proud partner of ABSL, so that's really great since a few months. And I think it's really important to mention that IMA is a non-profit organization. And we are also the largest association focused exclusively on management accounting globally. And I think it's important to mention that we are a non-profit because our #1 goal is to help finance professionals to have success in their career, and also to help companies to have better finance departments. So IMA, like I mentioned, is a global organization. We were already established in 1919. And we have more than 140,000 members around the globe. So it's a true international network of finance professionals. And you really see that they are helping each other, networking with each other, and learning from each other. So I think that's really great. We have 360 IMA chapters around the globe. And also here in Europe, we have 10 chapters around the globe. And those are really run by the volunteers. and they organize local events, local networking events, and so on. We do have a lot of review course providers in Europe. They help the CMA students to prepare for the CMA Certified Management Accountant exams. And today we are also joined by Odysseas from Globaltraining. And Globaltraining is also a company preparing students for the CMA exams in Bucharest, Romania, and also in Cyprus and Athens. So this is what IMA is offering. Before I go to the topic of the conference, like I said, we are a global community. We do a lot about soft skills developments. So we offer webinars, online courses about soft skills, but also the hardcore finance skills, career resources. We really have a lot of courses for continuing education for finance professionals, also leadership skills and so on. And research and publication. So we have our own research department with our own professors, and they do a lot of academic research in the field of finance and management accounting. And they publish that in various magazines, but also our own flagship title, Strategic Finance Magazine. So today we will talk about how the value chain is going to be digital, competencies for accountants to survive also in the future. What is our role in advancing the competency in a digital age, and really the call to actions for companies, academics, and so on. So we are really committed to keeping you relevant as a financial body, because we really think that because of automation, that people really need to upskill. Like we all know, robots are here, not only tomorrow, but already today, and they will take over jobs. The positive news is that more jobs are created in finance because of the robots. But if you want to leverage that opportunity as a finance professional, you really need to upskill. You really need to have technology skills, ethical skills, and so on, in order to be really value to the company also in the future. And actually, and that's also something I already mentioned in the beginning, the whole COVID-19 disruption is really to accelerate this. So of course, technology is here, and many companies are now leveraging technology, but COVID-19 disruption is really going to accelerate that. So we have to do it even faster, and we have to adapt to that new situation of technology. And this is, I think, a good example of that. So this is really something you see in the press. Finance teams adapt to closing the books remotely amid coronavirus, because also all the finance departments are working from home nowadays. So they have to use technology in order to do that. Also something mentioned, will COVID-19 speed up the use of robots to replace human workers? All those kind of things are really accelerating, and that's really the current debate we now have in finance, and we also see in the press. So the big question actually for you as a finance professional is actually, are you fit for purpose in a digital age? Do you have the necessary skills in order to add value to your company also when robots are here and other technology is here within the company? Because, of course, some people are afraid by the technology because maybe they will say, okay, the technology is going to replace my job. Maybe that's true because jobs will be lost. But the good news is that technology also has the potential to create many new jobs in finance, even more than the amount of jobs that will be lost. So where are we today? Because it all started back in 1700 with the first industrial revolution, using steam and water to power the first factories. But it all the way ended up to where we are today. And that's what we call the fourth industrial revolution. It's really the digitization. So it's not automation anymore, but digitization. Internet of Things, data create an interconnected globe. So we are really in the era of big data information. That's really something we have to leverage. So it's not only about implementing technology anymore, like it used to be in the era of automation, the third industrial revolution, but it's really how are you going to to get information and insights from big data. And that's, of course, something finance people are really good at, analyzing the large chunks of data in order to provide advice to the company's management. And this is also where you see it. So in the current state, most of the finance people are doing transaction processing, and not so many are doing analysis. But if you look at the future, and actually already that started today, then it's going to change completely. So it will be the other way around. Most of the finance professionals will be doing analysis, and not so much actually the transaction processing anymore. So if you want to be of any value to your company and you are now in the transaction processing, then you need to change that. Then you need to reskill, you need to upskill so that you can work in the field of analysis. So that will also mean that there's a new set of collaborators for the finance and accounting team. So finance professionals are going to interact with different people. They have to interact a lot with IT, data security professionals, data scientists. And sometimes people ask me, do I need to become a data scientist when I'm in finance? Well, actually not. You need to know something about it, that's for sure. Because as finance professional, you need to be able to ask the right questions to those data scientists. So you don't have to become an expert in it, but you need to know what it's all about. And when we look at the role of the CFOs, then research is also showing, of course, that that is going to change. It will be less compliance, more strategy. So you also see that the role of the CFO is becoming more and more important. And actually last week I was in a roundtable together with ACCA, and we were interviewing CFOs. And the role of the CFO, they all said, okay, basically the CFO is becoming equally important to the CEO. It's really a joint effort nowadays. So the CFO's role is going to change. It will be more about risk, really board engagement, corporate strategy, and investor relations, and not so much regulatory compliance anymore. That is going to change. So what you really see is that the value chain is going to be digital. And what are actually the trends for 2020? Well, the skills gap will continue to increase in 2020. That's something I also mentioned indeed. And actually, when we talk about technology, many people will start talking about RPA, robot process automation. But RPA is actually yesterday's news. Today it's all about intelligent automation. But what is intelligent automation? Well, generally terms like digital transformation have been too broad and confusing. And what we see as a result, companies do not know where to begin, which leads to frustration and failure. But the truth is that there is a complete digital transformation, and the term intelligent automation. That's a combination of all the technology. And intelligent automation is basically the automation of the company processes, including general corporate level process using BPM, and also specific task level process using RPA indeed. So that's also part of it. So what is exactly intelligent automation? Well, to summarize it, intelligent automation is a term that describes a holistic solution for digital transformation, and it's mainly based on process management to orchestrate users' tasks, systems, and robots, like RPA, depending on the business need at that moment. On the other hand, it also completes the use of analytics and artificial intelligence, like example, machine learning, to make automated and intelligent decisions in case management to provide process with enough flexibility to end-to-end case management success. So it's all about intelligent automation nowadays. And again, also for the CFO, things will change because the CFO, they have to adapt to it, to a futuristic mindset. And then you will really become the digital officers and the business leaders of tomorrow. So that's really a great opportunity for all the ones in finance, that they can really lead the digital transformation and also the days after. This is actually a summary of all the technology. I will skip that one because we don't have a lot of time. So what you also see is that finance, and because of all the impact of technology, they partner with different kinds of companies, different kinds of partners. So for example, HSBC, they partnered with a company with Alibaba's logistics arms. You also see other companies like a Chinese fintech startup. They leverage mobile technology and blockchain to allow lenders to finance suppliers several tiers deep into various complicated electronics manufacturing supply chain based on the buyer's creditworthiness. So you see that the finance departments are partnering with different companies. I think it's not on this slide, but a good example is MasterCard, the credit card company, because sometimes when you travel abroad and you do a transaction with your credit card, then it's blocked. You get a phone call from your credit card company to check if that's really you. But what they did is they have access to the data of your mobile provider, your telco company. So of course, then they have GPS. So they combine it with the GPS of your phone. So then they see, okay, Alain is in this moment indeed in France. So that transaction in Paris is indeed correct. So that's really a good example of how finance departments, but also companies, are leveraging technology. So you really see that there's a new emphasis on the chief data officer. Finance is really the department that should be the owner of data. So CDOs must really ensure the organization remains operational. They need to lead solution to crisis-triggered challenges to come, and they need to prepare the company for the next normal, where we actually are today. So data visualization is, of course, very important nowadays in finance. In the past, we just had an Excel sheet, and we went with Excel sheet with a large chunk of numbers to the management. Well, that's not possible anymore. Then you cannot sell your ID. Nowadays, you need to visualize it. And this is really a great example, actually a sad example of how COVID-19 is now spreading around the globe. Used by Tableau, which is the visualization tool, and much more. So this is really a good example of how we can visualize data. And also for finance departments, there are new ways of working. There's now remote onboarding of CFOs, CEOs, because we are forced to. Remote working arrangements will become more important as time in the office will be more restricted. So also finance departments have to adapt to that. This is actually a real picture of a team, the brand team of IMA doing a Zoom meeting. I will skip the use cases. But what we also see in the time of technology is that ethics is becoming more and more important. Because like we all know, but maybe people will think that technology is neutral, but it's not. Also, technology has values embedded in its design and implementation. Seemingly unconscious design choices can have resounding impact on people's life. So all the algorithms you are maybe creating as finance department can maybe mean or have as a result that people do not get a credit card. Of course, that has major impact on their lives. So we embedded so much time on ethics in the CMA, the Certified Management Accounting curriculum, because we really want to educate also finance people for the digital age and ethics. So, like I mentioned, all the technology and which we are going to use now, but also in the future of finance, will have a lot of impact on the skills we need. So for example, when you look at the critical skills for accountants to deliver insight and foresight, you need different skill sets. You really need to be a statistician. That's something important for you. You need to have skills in data, but also data applications. So for example, I was showing Tableau, so you need to be aware of how that's working. Data governance is very important, because what we see is the pool, so to say, but if there's a lot of rubbish in that data, then you will also get a very bad outcome. So you really need to have good data governance, good data cycle, and also a good architecture for your data. You need to have the understanding of how the business is working, understand the business to know what problem to solve. Because if you don't understand the rest of the company, then you are not going to solve their issues. So you really need to be able to do that. So what we also did is, how can you balance technology and people? So CFOs, for example, who strike the right balance with innovation. So of course, maybe people will say, okay, we need to spend a lot of investment in new technology, in robots, all the other things, because they need to adapt to the technology, and they can really leverage it. And when we ask people, okay, do you 50% set or almost 50% set, they do not think there is a right balance between the capabilities of technology and also finance to meet the future priorities. So, like I already said, finance people are also going to work with different people within the company, with the scientists, with data scientists, data management professionals, and I think a very funny one, storytelling. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, an expert in storytelling. But nowadays that's very important, because when you have that data visualization and you have all that great results of your research about how you are analyzing big data, then you also need to present it in order to influence the board, maybe to approve your budget or something else, an investment proposal. And therefore you really need to be or maybe a hero in data storytelling and presentation skills, communication skills. It's really key for finance people now and also in the future, more than it used to be in the past. So before I'm going to wrap up this, so what we did is, because we really want to prepare the finance professionals for the future, so we created a management and accounting competency framework. And here you see it. So we added business acumen and operations, technology is in it, and also, for example, ethics. So this is just one visual, but it's a report of maybe 50, 60 slides. And there, for each job in finance, you see what kind of skills you need. So, for example, for a finance manager, you see what kind of skill set he or she knows, or maybe also for a treasury manager. And many HR departments are using this when they want to prepare their, or want to educate their workforce, or when they are hiring new people. And this is available for free on our website, so everyone can download it for free. And they can also use it for free. So just go to imainnet.org and then search for Management Accounting Framework. And I don't want to go too deep into the CMA, Certified Management Accountant, but also to prepare people, it's also here you see that technology, analytics, information system, data governance is all embedded now in the curriculum. That's not because we think it will be important in the future, but we did a global job survey among our 140,000 members and CFOs, and they all told us that technology, analytics, ethics, that will become more and more important, and it's actually now already important for doing their job. And what we really see is that people who educated themselves maybe 10, 20 years ago, they were not getting education in technology. So what we do is we provide a lot of information. It's all free, by the way, so you can just access it on our website. So for example, you can go to strategic finance articles about technology. We provide webinars for free, and also courses like data analytics and visualization fundamentals. So that's really how we are preparing the future workforce for finance. We also publish, maybe that's also interesting, some reports on COVID-19 resources, also available for free to download. For example, if you're a small business, how can you survive the current disruption? That's something which is very interesting. Just download it also again for free. So before we go to the panel, there's really a call to action actually, and that's not only for companies but also for academics, corporations, and accounting associations. So most of the members here are now corporations. So the tone at the top in embracing data analytics as the new science of winning a competitive age full of disruption. That really needs to be the tone of the top, that data is key in winning the battle for a bigger market share and so on. For individuals, I would really say that if you're now in finance, adopt and adapt to skills in artificial intelligence, robotics, intelligent process automation. So the key is really to upskill yourself. So that's really key in order to add and keep adding value also in the future to your company. So I did it in 28 minutes, I promised 25, sorry for that. If you have any questions, well, you can now ask it, of course. Always feel free to contact me later as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Alain, for your presentation. It was very interesting to hear about the finance role, and especially a CFO role is involving from compliance to responsiveness and strategy. I also noticed there was one case studies example where there was an outcome of 5 million gain in profit. That sounds great. Also, thanks for the tips on COVID reads, resources, and the courses. So thank you for the presentation. Now we can move on to a panel discussion. So I would like to introduce our panelists. So today's panelists are Liana Hanganu. She is the Senior Finance Manager and Bucharest site Lead Finance and the XC Technology. Liana is the lead of Finance Decision Support Team of the XC Technology, a highly qualified team of professionals providing finance services to customers from various locations in Europe.
Thank you very much.
Another panelist is Mihaela Ionescu, Director Marketing, KPMG, Romania. Mihaela has a long-standing experience in executive finance roles with international companies in various industries. Now she's working on ensuring long-term success of KPMG business, serving as Director Markets. Our third panelist is Odysseas Christodoulou. Odysseas is a co-founder and CEO of Globaltraining, an international organization specializing in professional education for the financial sector. He is a member of the board of directors of edX, and he is an elected council member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Cyprus. Odysseas also holds a CMA title. Our fourth panelist is Mihai Vlădescu. He is a CFO at Societe, Generale European Business Services. The company is located in Bucharest, Romania, with over 2,500 employees. SGEBS provides high-quality professional services in various fields of activity to group entities around the world. And our fifth panelist is our today's presenter, Alain Mulder, and he is also joining to present your all impressive backgrounds. And I would like to start the panel discussion with you sharing your story by answering 3 questions. Maybe it's easier if I share my screen so you can so you can do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes? All right.
Yes.
So yes, I would like you to all share your stories answering what defining experience in the profession led where you are today, and looking ahead, what is the single greatest risk facing our profession, and what is the single greatest opportunity facing our profession. So maybe we can start the same way as I introduced you. So maybe Liana, you would like to share your story?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for introduction. As Grete mentioned, I'm proud to lead a team of 150 analysts, highly skilled analysts in Bucharest for DXC technology. We are providing finance support services from reporting to business partnering to our clients from Western Europe. When I'm thinking about what defining experience I had in the past and that make me be what I am today, I will refer to what happened 7 years back when I took a dramatic, let's say, decision, if I can say so, to shift from a career in banking to a career in technology. I was for more than 10 years in banking, doing all kind of controllership, regulatory type of work. I was IFRS expert, leading a methodology team. And I just took this this risk, I would say, at that moment, to switch my career and go for information technology. And I joined at the time HP to build from scratch a team of finance professionals, the center of excellence of HP at that moment. And I'm proud to say I was a colleague with Mihai Vlădescu. By the way, Mihai, hellos from the team. And we actually we had a lot of success with this team, and I learned a lot. And for me, it was actually the shift from let's say a more compliance controllership type of work to a more technology data-driven type of profession. So that was definitory, and I'm here because of my team, which is great and is doing a great job. I will tell you later what we are doing. So this is for the first question. Thank you, Grete.
Thank you, Liana. So you and Mihai actually go way back, as I hear.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was an interesting shift from banking to technology. So it's good that you took that risk. Thank you for sharing your story. And Mihaela, maybe you could share yours.
Thank you first of all for introduction and for invitation, and hello to everyone. I was just hearing enthusiastically, let's say, Liana's speech, because in my case, I was just, let's say, shift from 20 years business experience to consultancy role. My experience in the last, let's say, 10 years was in finance executive roles. So from finance directors, local roles to regional CFO. Before joining KPMG, I was the regional CFO for Microsoft for Romania, Greece, Cyprus, and Malta. And for me, the journey was very, very interesting and nice. And now from my career on in consultancy, I think this can better help me, let's say, to support our customers in order to help them to adapt agilely to the business challenges, and why not to unleash their business potential.
Right, thank you. So you're starting agile Ajad, that's really great to hear. Maybe you can also add the two other questions about the greatest risk that you're facing in your profession and the opportunity facing your profession. And Liana, will go back with the same questions afterwards to you.
Okay, thank you for the questions. So from my perspective, I think the greatest risk that our finance professional might face is about not changing fast enough in order to adapt to the very dynamic environment that we will live during to the next decade. And here I'm speaking about big data, machine learning, and also Alain mentioned about moving for robot process automation to artificial intelligence, and why not biotechnology. In terms of opportunities, here it's quite difficult to just choose ones, because I think we have many and great opportunities in front of us. And I will start with let's say with foreseeing the most relevant future trends and looking forward for the digitalization of all of our operational, and of course the usage of artificial intelligence to manage the decision-making processes.
All right, thank you. And you mentioned that the risk is that you're not finance profession by itself is not changing fast enough with the technology, or the technology is not changing fast enough?
I think first is the finance that might not changing fast enough, and considering the dynamic environment, which of course involves the technology side. Okay. So it's let's say it's in our power to really adapt and to really change.
All right, thank you so much. Odysseas, maybe you could hop in with your story.
Hello, everyone. Personally, I had a different career path than many other professionals from the finance profession. I have worked in the accounting and finance profession at the beginning of my career. I have trained with one of the big four firms to become an ACCA, and also in the banking sector as head of the finance department of Lombard NatWest Bank. During the early stages of my career, I have very soon realized that there was an unmet demand, global unmet demand for finance professionals. And my passion about education has led me to follow a career path in training for the finance sector. So that was a major shift in my career. But I'm actually very proud to have been present with Globaltraining since its inception, and being one of the two co-founders. Since then, we have trained thousands of finance professionals who work in all sectors of the economy, and have personally experienced the evolution of the accounting and finance and banking profession, not only in the countries where Globaltraining has presence, like Romania, where we have a presence in the last 14 years, but also in the big financial centers like London, New York, Hong Kong, Berlin, etc. Now, moving on to your second question, you want, Grete, the business and financial world is surely undergoing fundamental transformation with disruptive technologies. Alain, in his presentation, has mentioned a lot of examples, and he referred to artificial intelligence, big data, digital currencies, blockchain, and even further global regulatory compliance and monitoring constitute the nowadays framework of the finance profession. It is hard to say what could be the single greatest risk facing our profession, but surely disruptive technologies could be such a great risk. Now, about the biggest opportunity, the greatest opportunity, I would say that globalization and growth in international business, together with the numerous technological advancements and more intelligence automation, will drive the growth of the finance profession, and will definitely constitute the greatest opportunity, I believe, for finance professionals to work and operate from anywhere in the world. So I think my answer was not too long, but I believe that we are living challenging times, and technology and automation is leading the way. Thank you, Grete.
Thanks, Odysseas. I think you personally took a great opportunity in regards to globalization, expanding global training in so many countries. So, but thank you for sharing your story. And Mihaela, maybe you could, you could share your story now.
Hello, Grete. May I say hello to all the participants, to our speakers, especially to Liana, my former colleague. Hello, Liana. It's very good to see you here. I thought about what to share today about my defining experience in my profession, and I might start, because we are discussing today about technology. I might start some years ago on my experience with IT. I owned a personal computer before 1989. Romania was one of the countries, I think, that was quite advanced at that stage, and we were able to manufacture in Romania personal computers. So I had the chance to have one. I had a chance to learn even some programming skills at that moment, like BASIC or C++. Today I don't know anything, but I don't remember anything. But at that moment, I was able to learn some of the programming, and also I had a chance during the years to be witness of some of the significant changes that we faced with internet, starting with dial-up. If you remember dial-up connection, then with the mobile technology, I remember Yahoo Messengers and how the communications changed, and further on Skype taking over this idea maybe, and completely maybe removing the conference calls, the former communication method. And recently, with all the change that we face, generally I'm one of the early adopters of technology, and I hope this helped me a bit in my profession. In my finance profession. Now, talking about finance, I think something that helped me is the experience that I have in multiple industries. I had the chance to work both in manufacturing, in production, but also in market research, in IT, and now in banking since last year. Liana, I'm going back to banking. You switched from banking to IT. Now I'm going back to banking. And I think each one of 0.5, 2 years, something like this, I did a significant step in my career. This was either in the company that I work for, or sometimes I need to make a step outside the company. I also experienced a lot of change and transformation. I had a chance to work for big multinational companies. Sometimes they were leader in their industry, or being in top 3 companies in their industry. And I witnessed a lot of change, reorganization, restructuring, spin-off, merger, acquisitions. I was on both sides of the story. Sometimes I was on the side of the story that was purchased or acquired. And I also experienced the other way when I was the company that implemented the processes to the other company that was acquired. So very interesting, let's say, view. Also, I had a chance to be part of the implementation of some ERP, I would say early in my career. In 2004, I implemented SAP. I was part of the implementation tool. Also then implementation team. And also I implemented some BI, I helped implementing some BI solutions, some reporting enhancement in other companies. And recently we are driving a Power BI project in Societe Generale that has an ambitious target to unify the reporting in both India and Romania, which are the 2 main shared services in Societe Generale. What else? I also had jobs outside of finance. I work in sales. Also worked last year as an interim managing director in production. I think also this experience helped me to position close to business. And this is something that also Alain mentioned, that probably is one of our strong points, going forward, to work very close to be relevant for the business. Looking ahead about the risk, it's funny because also it's a bit linked with Alain's presentation. I was wondering about the status quo of our profession. If it's enough to have an education in accounting, it's enough to have a university in finance to secure our future, to be able to work for our entire career in finance. Me personally, I don't think so. I think we'll need to have a continuous education. We need, of course, to adapt, to learn new technologies, to learn a new way of operating. I'm not sure if, for example, in the future, would be relevant for business to have a finance person doing business analytics. Maybe they would prefer to have a more technical skill resource that is placed in business. So we need to make sure that we are making ourselves relevant for the business, which is the risk if we don't succeed. But on the other hand, I see the opportunities that we can be at the core of the transformation in a business by adopting the latest technology and to be a key driver for the organizational performance. Okay, so those were my answers to the questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mihai. So as I hear, you did have a lot of experience in various industries, and as far as I understand, technology really helped you in all of these functions. And I also really agree with the fact that continuous education is very necessary for a finance profession. You need to upskill to stay relevant. So thank you so much. And Alain, maybe you could hop in now with your answers.
Yeah, of course. If we look at the defining experience in the profession that led to where I am today, is I think back in 2008, I was working for a large American multinational in real estate investment. When I realized that that customers want more technology in their customer experience, so then I started my own startup, managing the financial processes, but also the technical process of building owners. And we did that completely online. So, and back in that time, that was really, something new, that the bookkeeping of organizations was accessible via an online portal. Those kind of things which are now normal. So that was really where I realized that technology will be key also in the future. So, and that still is, you see it on my presentations today, it's all about technology, and I think it's really going to become more and more important. And when we look ahead, what's the single greatest risk facing our profession? It was also mentioned by the others, is I think the biggest risk is when we do not keep continuing our education. When we get lazy and we think, okay, 10 years ago, I earned that great title in finance, that great credential, I finished my university, so I don't have to develop myself anymore. If we all do that as finance people, then that's a great risk, because then we are not able to adapt to technology, and indeed, like the others also said, to create value for the other departments in the company. The single greatest risk opportunity, I think that's a combination of adapting to technology, but also globalization. Like Odysseas said, globalization is so important. I was doing some calculations for Dutch companies, I believe 80% of what Dutch companies earn in revenue is coming outside of Europe. So that really means that also as finance professional, you are in a global setting. Although you're working maybe in Romania, or you're working in Greece, or here in the Netherlands, so you need to adapt to that as well. So it's a combination of technology and globalization.
Thank you so much, Alain. So the situation really has changed in the past 20 years, didn't it? I would like to go back to Liana, if she could also share, looking ahead, the risks and opportunities facing our profession.
Thank you, Grete. It wasn't a strategy to start the conference and to end it. It's just that I thought that we will go question by question.
Oh.
So yes, so I'll be short. There is something that drew my attention in Alain's presentation. I saw a statement like the learning worker. I agree. I agree with Mihai and Alain's as well. Without reskilling, without creating a culture of continuous education, the profession will not. Finance professionals will not cope with the changes. So this is for sure. I'm asking to my team members to acquire a new skill every month, or at least to try to improve a new skill every month, to try to read more, to try to start to reskill the technical skills if they are not sufficiently skilled. So I agree with you that this is core. Yes, this is core to succeed. Whoever thinks that our job is from 9 to 5 and that's it, and whatever I'm doing this year I will do next year, is wrong. And I'm not speaking about the finance professional as such, but the role. Yes, the job will be redundant, just like everything that is transaction processing and so on. Yeah. So I agree with you. I'm with you. Continuous education is key. And if professionals are not reskilling themselves every day with every opportunity they have, their roles will be redundant one day. And looking ahead, the greatest opportunity for me is that a finance professional, well-skilled, will be able to do much more than just finance. I'll give you an example. One of the most versatile finance leaders I've met, it's a person that was able to be a CFO for one account, big account, and then she became a COO for the same account, and then she switched for the CFO job for a region, and now she's leading a business team. So she's selling, actually. Yes. So and all this happened in 6 years' time, and the person just went from one role to another with such an easiness, just because she was not just a finance person, she was a business and operation person. She knew what is happening. She knew the storytelling. Alain also mentioned that. The storytelling behind the figures, what is really happening in the reality with the business. So I guess those that will continue to reskill themselves and will continue to learn about the business we are doing and about the context and about the market, those will be the winners of the profession and will be able to do much more than just finance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think that the key is that, yeah, we all have to continue learning and also be versatile in our profession. So thank you all so much for sharing your stories. And I would also like to also like to hear, so basically from your perspective, how has the role of finance officer or CFO changed in the time of your career? And also going back to Alain's presentation a little bit, how it's impacted now during pandemic. So maybe Mihaela, you could start.
Thank you, Grete, for the question. I think this is a very, very interesting one, because if I'm thinking about how the finance role and the CFO role changed during the last year, I think we can see a very big change. Because let's say the initial role of the CFO was to safeguard the company resources and to controlling those resources are used with the maximum productivity. And now when we are thinking about the CFO role, we are looking for the outsourcing of the super function. We are looking on the digitalization of the finance activities. And I think step by step, the CFO role changed to a business partnering and became, let's say, a business partner of choice for commercial, for operational, and for technology divisions. And on top of everything which we mentioned about the CFO, I want also to add the risk management side and also compliance and assurance. And when I'm speaking about compliance, I'm referring about the ethics side, which became much more important in the last period. And everything which is intercorrelated with the AI and big data, and all of this will ensure, let's say, a sustainable and homogeneous development of our finance function.
Right, thank you so much, Mihaela, for your answer. Maybe Alain, you would like to hop in?
Yeah, sure. So indeed, like I actually also said in the presentation, in the past, CFOs were really looking in the past and telling what happened yesterday. And that's now really changing. So it's much more forward-looking. And I think also the CFOs need to have that commercial mindset. So they need to understand how the business is working and how they can enable the business and deliver the resources in order to create value. And they need to be able to combine different sources of data and really get the outcome of that, and so they can really steer the company towards the future. I think that's really the biggest change, that that the CFO is actually the person in the company who is guiding and steering the rest of the company towards the future. Of course, the CEO is playing an important role in that, but nowadays I think that role is really shifting towards the CFO.
Thank you, Alain. So CFO is the value creator. Yeah, maybe Mihai, you could answer that as well.
Yeah, from my perspective, CFO, I think, continue to have a very, very important role. Needs to be maybe a counselor of the, maybe of the board of director of the CEO, but also, needs to be able to delegate, to follow up projects, to help, to support the business. So putting aside, let's say, the traditional scope, needs to be very present in the life of the organization. What I wanted to mention, because it's very interesting, this ethics concept that we discussed. And for me also, this was clear that ethics become more and more valuable. More and more companies are looking to the ethics. And I think CFO might have made a step forward, and position himself in this role to be able to defend the ethics in an organization. Maybe together with HR, because naturally maybe this can come from the HR, but nevertheless, I think an ethical behavior, is something that the CFO can help drive to the entire organization. And of course, CFO must adapt with the huge level of transformation that is happening in our current environment. So we need to make sure that we are able to keep the pace. The reorganization, the transformation is huge. If we don't think strategically, we don't think in advance, we don't prepare now for the future, for the next steps, then we'll be all the time in a position to defend ourselves, to not to be able to strategically drive projects. So strategic thinking is extremely important for the CFO, for the organization, not only for the finance scope. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mihai. And Odysseas, what is your opinion about that?
Yes, I would like to add that the evolution of the CFO over the last 30 years has been tremendous. And I would agree with, with Alain, that a CFO today should be a business-minded, entrepreneurial-minded person. This is what we actually tell new accounting trainees when they join us to study for the various professional qualifications. And they should be up to date with technology. They should have an analytical mind, and they should definitely follow the international developments in the business and economic environment. And I would definitely advise and suggest somebody to study for the CMA certification, because it's a qualification that primarily is up to date with changes, and it has made taken several steps in the last few years to make sure that these technological changes that we have experienced, all of us in the business world, are reflected in the qualification. So this is all about the trainees, and what happens now with the members, with those who are qualified members of the various professional bodies. We all advise them to do the continuing professional development units that they are supposed to cover every day, because it's not a coincidence that all the professional bodies are requesting their members to keep up to date. This is the message. for all accounting and finance professionals. Thank you, Grete.
Thank you so much, Odysseas. And maybe Liana?
So we have some, in our company, we require to almost all finance professionals to have a CFO mindset, which sums up all the characteristics that were already displayed. Business partnering, building trust and credibility with the business, also being an agent of change is very important. I don't know how it is in other companies, but in we have a statement, change is the only constant, indeed. So we are facing tremendous changes and transformations. So CFO should be in the middle of these changes and encourage and be a proactive thinker and be flexible and influence and so on. So it's very important also to have a very good business insight, as was already mentioned. So to know indeed the storytelling behind the figures is essential, is crucial. And last but not least, something that Mihai mentioned, ethics. I don't see any other person except maybe the CEO with the same with a role so important for driving ethics within a company. So this should be, yeah. But leading change, I think, for us is very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Indeed.
So we're talking a lot about continuous education and continue to upskill your knowledge. So as leaders in your organizations, knowing the need for new skills, how do you go about attracting, training, and retaining the talent in the company? Odysseas, maybe you can share. How do you go about this?
I could start to
sorry, Odysseas, could you repeat?
Yes, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
And I've been, I consider training as the cornerstone of a company's success, and I believe that we should all try to follow the technological changes primarily. This has become now a prerequisite in many academic studies as well. I mean, we see universities from all over the world incorporating more and more computer science modules in their degree studies, which shows the long-term direction of business as well and education. So, considering myself that I am on the training side of things, I believe that what we should be aiming at is primarily to study for a professional qualification as accountants and finance people that caters for all of these priorities. And definitely we should promote among our people and our leaders, business leaders, to follow current developments. Leading an organization today involves a number of skills, and the talent skills are not easy to find, I would say. So we should be trying to attract talents and retain them. Some of the key, I would say, characteristics and priorities that we should be aiming at in keeping talents within the organization is to make sure that the company is always ahead of developments, and that gives its people the opportunity to grow and develop further along with the organization itself.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you, Odysseas. Mihai, maybe you could help in with this answer?
Yes, sorry, I think I overlapped with the prior answer. So yeah, something, you know, very, very simple on my side. I would look on profiles that are not resistant to change, that embrace the change in it, so are not afraid to take any step, that have the ability to learn technical skills, that you know, wants to develop themselves, and because it's very important also to have this client-oriented attitude. So they understand very well the concept of client, of partnership, you know, with the business. I think those are some of the characteristics that I'm searching for when attracting talents.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mihaela?
Maybe to add on what Mihai has mentioned, I think in the past we are discussing about people with the abilities to embrace change. Currently, I think we are looking much more for the people with the ability to produce change. And I think this will become much more important in the future. And because was already mentioned about the training side, I want also to mention the part of the attracting, and which I think is much more important is the part of the retaining the candidates. And I think it's very important to ensure that the candidate, the top candidate that you want to attract and to retain, we will be very transparent with them. Transparent in terms of what works well in the organization and what we need to be improved. Because in this way, the candidate will have the visibility of understanding the change and understanding the needs. And also it's important to understand the candidate, to understand and to subscribe to the company culture. And also from the company side, it's very important to smoothly integrate such a strong candidate, which is a CFO or a finance role. And last but not least, I want to mention the importance of bridging with him and understanding how his success or her success will be hand in hand with the company's success.
All right, thank you so much. I think that's a great way to do it. Alain, maybe you could share your answers? You're on mute, Alain?
Yeah, sorry, I always saw the pop-up on my notification. Sorry for that. No, I think one of the skills which is also very important is that they need to be a challenger in the company, also a good communicator, like we several people discussed, but also a challenger, because we just also mentioned and discussed that ethics is very important nowadays. So as finance person, you need to be able to challenge other departments within your company. Can be very difficult, but that is very, very important.
All right, thank you so much. Liana?
So I will start with training. As mentioned, with the new challenges of the profession, training is core for every company and also for ours. We build a new training strategy to cover all aspects of the current day-to-day profession, yes, services that we are doing. We are using more and more the online platforms. DXC has a very generous online training platform that we are using, and I guess there is still room for improvement in that area. Regarding hiring, we focused a lot on hiring new talent, people young, graduates or with a few years of experience, as we wanted to improve the labor pyramid, but not only, also to bring the new generation with for whom the technology is like they are born with. Yes, it's completely different. And last but not least, attracting, retaining people, it's very important. Training is contributing to this. Also development. I think the companies that offers to employees a space, an environment for development, an environment for mentoring, for being better every day without being idealistic. It's just the truth. I think those companies will be the winners. They will be capable of retaining talent, despite sometimes challenging conditions. Yes, like high competition. Yes, as we saw last year. So I think it's very important for people to develop. Yes, and to go to leave the company better than they were when they joined. That's critical. So this is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liana. Absolutely. Now we're actually running out of time, but I still would really like to ask you one question. So we have 5 minutes. So when we think about future of finance, workforce skills, and the market, everything we've discussed so far really falls under the leading change, learning, and transformation. So what's in your experience in your organization with business transformation or digital transformation? And what can finance function do to make sure they don't fall behind in this evolving business environment? And maybe you can also share technological investment decisions that you're considering in your company or in your team. Mihai, maybe you would like to start?
Yeah, I have a specific example. As I mentioned, maybe I joined the Societe Generale last year, and the Societe Generale is an extremely innovative bank. I wasn't aware until I joined. It's because my perception of the local market was not necessarily so. But to be honest, I found out an extremely innovative environment and a significant desire to transfer, to change, including the digital transformation in finance. So what we are doing today, we are together with the India share service. There is a network of share services in Romania and India. We are building a common platform to support the reporting based on the current solutions that we have. So based on the current ERPs that we have, the current tools, we are integrating everything to a single reporting solution that is actually Power BI. And we are running this project, should finish probably sometimes in September, October. This will create, I think, a massive impact in the organization. And I'm looking forward to see the benefits and really, how much value we are able to bring as a finance organization. And requires also strong partnership and networking in the finance team level, yes, which is a very, very good collaboration on our side. Also, next year we plan to change, do some changes, some small changes in the tools. So there are a lot of plans in progress and investment in our system and tools. It's definitely something that we are looking at. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mihai. Liana, maybe you could tell the story from your company's perspective.
To complete what Mihai was saying, I would say that DXC already has a platform, cloud-based, that will help us to collect, to have all time of reporting in real time, yes, reporting for decision making. We are not there yet. Yes, it's not so easy. To go to this new way of reporting and working, but this is what we target. So yes, we need people to be released from these tasks that are not bringing value, so they invest in some other type of activities. And this will be the first step, because we all know that finance is producing figures in the end, yes, and a lot of time is consumed with this. We have a gap. I think all the companies have a gap between legacy ERP systems and the decision-making process, what the top management is requiring from us, yes. And this gap is filled in with a lot of offline work and a lot of effort. And we need to go and force this gap to close. Yeah, it's not easy. It's a tremendous work, but we will be there, I think, and we will have this golden source of data that will provide us all type of figures for decision-making purposes. Yes. for real-time decision-making purposes. There is a lot to say about digitalization and about transformation, but at least for my company, this is the first step. We need to be more efficient in the way we report figures and to support business decision with real-time support.
All right, thank you, Liana. Mihaela, maybe you would like to also share?
Yes, sure. Thank you for this. I can only agree that the leading change and the transformation is the key of success and business continuity in the next period. And during my experience, I have been part of continuous transformation of the businesses. In many cases, owning, let's say, the finance lead role for those transformation. And I can say that finance will continue to own, let's say, a critical role in ensuring both CapEx and OpEx that are properly used to finance the most relevant transformational and technological projects. And I really think that all of us, we should look on the finance role broader that currently we are looking, because it's not only about ensuring, let's say, a positive MPV or a decent payback, for the business. We should look beyond all of this and to be sure that the final outcome of the change is the fact that the finance will deliver the result promised. And all of this, let's say, performing a post-implementation review and take all the time agile correction while it's needed.
Thank you so much, Mihaela. Alain, maybe you can.
Yeah, so I really agree with all of you, actually, and we should be proud of the finance profession, and the finance people are really enabling the business. They are guiding the company, and I think the way to success for companies is also that they really make sure that the knowledge of their employees is completely in line with all the trends in technology and the developments, but also with the globalization, because that's also key, and that's also something we see nowadays. We have some large multinationals who are really investing in the skills of their finance teams around the globe. So, for example, what they say is, okay, we will do an in-house certified management accounting program. So although, so the staff we have in the shared service centers in India and also the finance people here in Europe, they all have the same knowledge. And I think that's really key, that you have all the same knowledge across the globe in your finance team, and then you can really win the battle.
Thanks, Alain. Odysseas, what is your opinion? You're on mute, Odysseas.
Sorry. So I can only agree with my colleagues. And of course, I believe that digitization is the new norm now. We cannot really operate without having invested in the digital transformation. I have to say that as regards my organization, Globaltraining in the University of Nicosia at large, because we are part of a larger organization, the University of Nicosia, I have to say that we have invested heavily in technology in the last 12 years, not only for the finance function of the organization, which we are very proud of, given that we can now do everything literally remotely. But also we have invested a lot for our online platforms, which relate to online learning and education. Students can study from anywhere in the world. They can view their lectures live online, recorded, hybrid. I mean, there is tremendous flexibility. We thought that the way forward, and that doesn't apply only to us, I mean, to a training organization, and to a university. It applies to all companies throughout the world. The future is to give clients flexibility and choice. And the choice today is basically translated into being able to do things remotely and online. So that's the way forward, and this is what all finance people, accounting and finance people, should be thinking about their organizations, the organizations they represent, and they actually manage the financial affairs of the organization. They shouldn't be reluctant to invest more and more in technology. This is my advice to finance people.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you all for answering all the questions. And I think that we can all agree that globalization, continuous learning, and technology are the main things that has to be improved, and where the finance people have to excel, as well as real-time data. It's one of the most important investment decisions to make sure that we don't fall behind in the technology. Now we're a little bit short on time, so I'm just going to quickly go to the question section, and we have a question from Gulame, and they're asking, beyond adapting to technology, according to you, should finance adapt to non-accounting matters, such as human capital utilization, impact on ecosystem? So I think we're talking here about sustainability aspect. Alain, maybe you could hop in with your answer too.
Yeah, sure. Well, this actually brings us to integrated reporting. It is really important topic. So, for example, 30 years ago, if you look at the market cap of companies, then I think 15 or 20% was determined by intangible assets, and nowadays that's up to 80%, 70%. So that really makes it also an issue, of course, for the finance department. So yes, I agree. This is really something like human capitalization, the impact on the ecosystem. That's really something we as finance department should also look at. And also not only in terms of finance, but also in terms of about the image of your company. Sustainability is really important. So also, for example, the impact on the ecosystem of our companies, that's really something we should report on. I think a great example of that is actually our neighbors. When I look at the left, and I see the headquarters of ABN AMRO, that company is really a front runner in doing this. They also won awards in that, and they also committed to United Nations policies on this. So yes, this is really something companies should look at.
Thank you, Alain. I totally agree. I think the sustainability is very important trend topic right now, and the finance people really start also getting into the integrated reporting and trying to be more sustainable. Liana, could you answer the question as well from your side?
Whenever we ask about sustainability, people are thinking first about environment, yes, but the subject, of course, is much more than that. We have actually DXT is leading in this area as a sustainable company. We try to do all kind of actions speaking about environment. Yes, we are quite involved in all kind of actions. We try to be a low green gas consumer and so on and so forth. We have also, I'm proud to say that the team in Romania was in one of our global reports as quoted as a team that was very efficient and very involved in planting trees near Bucharest. So about environment is clear, we are there, but we are also a responsible business. Yes, We try to build performance, but with integrity, and this is very important. We want to have an impact in the life of various communities, especially in go back to school literacy type of activities with children, helping poor children from vulnerable communities. And last but not least, we give a lot of attention to our employees. We try to pay attention to their wellness, to their development, to the way we acquire talent, and we also retain and develop. Yes, so DXC can be quoted as a sustainable company. It was also on, I think, 70 place in Barron's ranking review. So there are a lot of actions to be quoted in this area, indeed. And I think it's very important. The future will belong to sustainable businesses, paying attention to all the factors, the impact on community, employees, environment, and being business with responsible, yeah, and ethical also, yeah, with integrity.
All right, thank you, Liana. Yeah, indeed, I totally agree that social responsibility and building the community and the employee development is a very important part of the sustainability. So really good to hear that DXC is actually working towards that. So thank you for that. Maybe Odysseas, you could share how this is going in global training and that aspect.
Well, I agree with the previous speakers, and we have been following similar guidelines, and we are definitely caring about sustainability, and of course the way forward is to make sure that the finance people have very high up in their agenda all of these elements and factors that will contribute to the long-term survival of their organizations, as well as the global business environment in general. So I would like to save your time and not comment more on that, but I definitely agree with what has been said already.
All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Odysseas. Mihaela, what about how's it going with that aspect in KPMG?
Maybe just to add to what my colleagues have mentioned is the fact that I think any business should ensure the long-term benefits to all its relevant stakeholders. If you are speaking from employees, customers, or vendors, towards to shareholders, or even to the state or to the society. And when I'm thinking about the most important sustainability factors, I'm thinking, how do we use the big data and AI in the future with the responsibility, in the benefits also for our organization, but also in the benefits of the society. I'm also thinking to what extent we will allow AI to take decision, and also how do we ensure the fast development and in the same time the fair usage, for example, of biotechnology. And if I'm looking from a totally different angle, when I'm speaking about sustainability, I'm thinking also about how we better ensure the inclusion for everyone, and also how we protect, the earth to still continue to be the nice and the welcoming host for the future generation. And in the same time, I think we should take care of coaching our teams, because when you are speaking about the human capitals, I prefer to call them teams, because for in the future they should work much more together for the same goal. And how we can act with sustainability and to give to the people the right tools and also to empower them to do so.
All right. Thank you so much, Mihaela. And Mihai, maybe we could share.
Yeah, I would like also to make a few comments. So, of course, I think we all noticed in the last years that investors, especially, are very interested in the sustainability, how the organizations are driving. We moved from the former CSR that was maybe relevant 20 years ago to something more relevant today, such as, you know, environment, social, and governance, the new concept that it's quite measurable. Everybody's trying to put metrics, but what I would like to speak today is something that I'm very proud of, you know, just to give some examples from my perspective as an employee working for Societe Generale. The Romanian unit, the Romanian Share Service, I think won the first prize with you guys, with ABSL, in the Galan recently with the project Reduce, Collect, Recycle, and Breathe. I don't want to explain because it's very clear what this means, but we won the first place. And also something very interesting, some of our guys did spend voluntarily 1,000 hours to redesign, if you want, some of the processes of the Elias Hospital. And as a result, the 170 processes of the hospital were changed, transformed, and improved, of course. And I think this has a significant impact also with the COVID situation, managing the COVID crisis, which is a strong, you know, I say positive impact, maybe unexpected, yeah, before they invest time in this project. And this is also one of the reasons that I joined the company as an employee, future employee, seeing what the company invests and how interested it is to provide the sustainable future. Yeah. And I realize also this is coming from the group values, that there are a lot of initiatives at Societe Generale level. For example, we are committed to green financing. I'm reading now, we have an objective to contribute 100 billion euro to the green energy transition by 2020, and 90% was achieved. So from the banking perspective, the banking industry is really committed to invest in sustainable future. This means putting investment, for example, in an area in industry where we are securing for ourselves a better future, and maybe not investing in coal extraction or Arctic, you know, exploitation or oil sands exploitation. So this is, I would say, a statement that is done by the bank, that it can be, you know, quite aggressive and daring, but it's something that I'm very proud to see. And Societe Generale was recognized as one of the lead bank in this sustainability area.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we already ran out of time. So I would like to close the session already. But thank you very much for all of your participation. Thanks so much for ABSL for organizing this wonderful webinar. And I really hope that we brought value to all the participants. And I think it was a very successful event. I've learned as well a lot. So thank you so much. And it was really good having you here.
Thank you very much indeed.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank